Welcome back, everyone, to the Player Zone, a YouTube channel. No Premier League football this week, and the close of the Premier League transfer window has come. So as such, I thought, what better way to sort of summarise the window than to give you my Premier League transfer 11. The best transfers, I've squeezed them all into 11 positions. I had a funky old formation to get them all in there, but you have to wait and see as the video goes on. Please, guys, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this sort of content, other podcast-based content. And please share the channel with your friends and others who enjoy this kind of content, because I'm smashing out content at the moment. I'm at a good sort of time at the moment with the momentum, so let's keep that momentum up and keep growing the channel. And let's get straight into this 11. Now we come to the goalkeeper position, and I've gone with Andre Onana. Despite all the criticism, the social media feedback on him, I feel like he is the best signing of this summer. £50 million from Inter Milan, the Champions League finalists last year, to Manchester United. He's rejoined with Erik ten Hag, who worked with really well at Ajax. Obviously, they were both involved in that 2019 Champions League semi-final run where they eventually got knocked out by Tottenham. But he was a pivotal player for United to sign this summer. I think number one on the checklist. De Gea's contract expiring and not being renewed at the club despite that Golden Glove last season. You know, Ten Hag wanted that ball-playing goalkeeper, that goalkeeper on the edge of his area, coming out for balls, you know, out of his box. That's a sweeper keeper and the like. We're seeing it all over the Premier League now. Edison does it, and many others. You see Tottenham saying Vicario now, another ball-playing centre-back. You have to be able to play with the ball at your feet to be successful in the league. Alisson does it to a great extent also. So you've got all these keepers around the league, and the modern-day keeper has to be able to play with their feet. So United just had to get this guy done. And the rumour is earn £100,000 per week, as reported by The Sun at the moment. That 5-year deal, so it locks him in there for the prime of his career here as a goalkeeper. But obviously, as I said, it was someone United probably had in the number one target for the summer. I think Erik ten Hag really wanted this player. He's quoted saying, but nowadays, football also demands good playing from the back. Playing out qualities have to be at a high, and that is the quality Andre has. So he's obviously worked with him, he's experienced him, he trusts him, he's seen what he's able to do. And for me, he does click the 19 clean sheets in the 41 appearances last year for Inter Milan, but you're not going to get the best shot-stopping keeper. You lose David De Gea, who is arguably one of the best shot-stoppers the Premier League has had, and you get Andre Onana. He's a ball-playing centre-back. He's not a shot-stopper at first. Obviously, he's a solid keeper with his hands, but as we said a lot on the podcast and other shows, he's primarily there for his ability to play with his feet. He averaged 37 passes last year in Serie A compared to David De Gea's 29 passes a game. But he had completion of 80% versus David De Gea's 68 completion rate. So it's going to allow United to play higher up the pitch, obviously with a keeper who's comfortable dribbling the ball to near halfway. We saw against Arsenal, we saw in the Champions League final last year as well. Has the ball at his feet and is comfortable dribbling the ball and passing the ball out from 30 or 40 yards out of his goal. So as such, it pushes the whole team forward. It changes the pressing tactics of the opposition. I know Pep Guardiola even said around the Champions League final time, it's difficult when you have that keeper to high press properly. For the way they play, Onana is an exceptional goalkeeper to take the position and build up. He's very, very good. As such, Pep Guardiola, the best manager in the world, saying that, he's a very quality keeper. And despite a few mistakes early on in the season, I feel like he'll grow into his role. We saw against Arsenal, beating De Gea's most passes in the game already. I know United probably didn't play very progressive, but he was there trying to create things. He just creates forward options, and with him being so up the pitch and with his passing ability, it's going to allow the likes of Højlund, Rashford, Antony to get in behind defences, to play his little cheeky balls into Fernandes and Casemiro midfield, and it's just going to boost United forward. I think it's a great signing for them. It's probably the best signing this year for the Premier League in terms of goalkeepers, and as such, he's in the starting 11 for me. Now we come to the centre-back position. I'm going to be playing 3 centre-backs in this formation, and the left side of this centre-back trio for me is Jurrien Timber. I get he's out with that injury, and it's so unfortunate, but he's going to be one of the steals of the summer. £38 million from Ajax. Highly regarded, a lot of links to United, a lot of links to other big European clubs, but he ended up going to Arsenal, a club he's vouched and said he loved a lot. And the star's only 22 years old, and with only 200 appearances senior under his belt, he's got that experience, he's got that cool, calm, and collectedness you need to be such a versatile defender like he is. Obviously, versatile is a key word when you talk about Jurrien Timber, and in a Arteta system who sort of works in these funky alternative formations and plays a bit out of position. We saw him play at left back a lot in pre-season in that Community Shield, and played very, very well. It's disappointing, obviously, he went down with that knee injury in the first game of the season, but he looked so calm on the ball obviously the versatility to play goes the whole back line, right back, centre back, left back. He's got it all in his capabilities, all capable of all of that. And for me, his ability to pass the ball, to be calm in possession. Obviously, last year for forward passes, he was 9th in the Eredivisie for passing to the final third. He topped passes completed, and forward passes in general. So someone who gets a lot on the ball, is able to complete passes, able to pass in behind and into the forward. So, an attacking option for them, and someone who's not only just attacking wise, he's also very solid defensively, very strong, very pacey, and as such, he was able to play across all sort of 3 positions at the back there. A very valuable pickup for Arsenal. When he comes back, we'll probably see the best of him again. We saw him pre-season, we saw in the Community Shield against Manchester City, the best team in the world. He held his own there. So someone Arsenal are going to miss for the start of the season. Hopefully towards the back end, he can come back into that team and show his class, not only on the ball, but defensively. And as such, for £38 million, it's a steal of a signing. And as such, he plays in this starting 11 for me. And joining him in this centre-back trio has to be Josko Gvardiol, the Manchester City centre-back, now signed for £78 million there from RB Leipzig. The 21-year-old, he doesn't feel like he's 21. He feels so experienced. It feels like we've seen this guy around for years on end. He sort of gives that Ramos sort of vibe, a leader on the field, a strong defender. But again, in this modern mould of centre-backs and full-backs and the like, he's so calm on the ball. Obviously, he played under the RB Leipzig system last year, where they had the second most amount of possession in the Bundesliga. So as such, he's just a match made in heaven for City. And you've seen the first few games of the season, he slid in seamless into the Pep system, which many players can't say for themselves. He's adjusted very, very well, looks very calm on the ball. And when you look last season, he made the fourth most passes of any centre-back in the Bundesliga, and made it at a higher rate than any other Premier League centre-backs last season. You think of Man City and how much possession they have, the fact he's higher than any Premier League centre-back just shows his quality on the ball. Obviously, despite his big stature, he's very, very pacey, very strong. Obviously, we see that, and we've seen that start the season. He's done very, very well for City, being one of the constants in their back line, which has sort of moved around a fair bit and had a little ins and outs here and there, but you've seen his class so far, especially against the likes of the Sheffield Uniteds, the Newcastle United. He stood out very, very well. Obviously a very fast centre-back, a strong centre-back, and sort of, is someone different for the Pep mould. We've had Ruben Diaz, who's showing how good that centre-back mould can be. And it looks like Gvardiol, that 5-year deal, worth about £130,000 per week. He's going to be locked in for a while, and it feels like he's the next Diaz, and Diaz is still young himself. So it's just another one in that Man City, line of just pure quality centre-backs, versatile defenders, pacey defenders that they've got there. I look at Stones, I look at who's now going to go in the midfield. Looks like, Diaz. Laporte's obviously moved away, but he was another quality centre-back, Akanji, Ake. They're just, beyond the eyes of just so many quality centre-backs. He adds to that, and as such, he's joined this Premier League transfer 11. And the final one to join this trio at centre-back is Mickey van de Ven. Now, this Tottenham centre-back, I think, sort of slid under the radar so far. Obviously, it's all been about Maddison, it's all been about Son, and Pape Sarr and Basuma for Tottenham, but Mickey van de Ven has been a crucial signing for them this summer. Obviously, Ange going to that full-back system with no real full-backs at times. Udogie and Emerson Royale are basically up there as wingers, so it's basically a two-back at times, and Mickey van de Ven, his pace, his physicality, and not only that, his ability to play on the ball has been very, very important. The key factor is all three centre-backs, pace, strength, and skillful ability on the ball, be able to control possession, pass out from the back, and he's got all these traits. And the 22-year-old, the 6-year deal, the longest in Tottenham Hotspur history, you could tell how much Ange wanted this guy, coming from Wolfsburg. Obviously clocked in as the 9th fastest last year in the Bundesliga, running at 36 kilometers an hour, which is rapid for the centre-back. Doesn't appear fast, but is fast, and is the second quickest defender just behind Alphonso Davies. We know how fast he is, so there is his pace quality. It's all there to be seen. It's there statistically proven. Obviously the £35 million transfer, subject to a few add-ons there as well, but again, another bargain buy, gone under the radar as of such, but we know that Ange, as I said, wants to play that fullback. In the past sort of 3 to 4 seasons, we've seen a fireback used at Tottenham, and right now I don't trust any of the centre backs that were there previously to play in a back two at times, because as I said, these fullbacks get so high and wide up the pitch that at times Mickey van der Ven's left on his own to defend, and we've seen against Burnley did very, very well one-on-one with the likes of Zeki Anduni running at him. He's very strong and able to deal with the counter-attack. We saw United trying to counter-attack against Tottenham at times. He was able to deal with that as well. I think he's just going to grow into this team, grow into this system. Ange Postecoglou, obviously trusted him. He's trusted under this attacking style of play that he can hold up in transition and able to also play out from the back. He's very skillful with the ball at his feet. He's played some great passes so far, not looked phased so far in the Premier League, with many teams counter-pressing, which is the common theme now this season. A very, very solid player, someone I think you can kick on this year, and as such for me, he's in this Premier League transfer 11. We now come to the midfield, and I've gone with a narrow sort of formation. There's a lot of great central midfielders this season transferring to the Premier League, and I've got to start. It can't start anywhere else in DM position there. Playing the number 6, Declan Rice for me. Obviously, the £105 million signing makes him the most expensive player in the Arsenal club history, topping Nicola Pepe from a few years ago. But obviously, the 5-year deal taking him to 2028. Rumoured for the Independent to be getting a hefty pay increase, £250,000 a week. But obviously, he's worth all that money so far. He's such a versatile midfielder. He can play at 6 and play at 8. We've seen that at West Ham. He's not afraid to take the ball on the half turn and play away. He can drive into areas. He always finds himself into space. He always wants that ball at his feet, and it's very important for Arsenal. Obviously, transferring Xhaka away from the club, Thomas Partey seems to be moving into this more defensive role. Such Rice is very important for this team. He can clip that defence to the midfield. He's gone a lot under the radar so far. People are slagging him off a bit, but that's the role he's had to play so far with Ødegaard and Havertz very high up the pitch. He's sort of stuck in his own in an 8 there, very isolated, but he accepts the balls. He can play on the half spin. He can play into little areas. He always finds pockets of space to receive the ball, and that's so underrated for a team like Arsenal who wants to play in possession. I think he fits their system very, very well. Mikel Arteta had only positive to say about him. He mentioned his leadership and experience at only age 24 in the Premier League, and mentioning that the responsibility and the role he has taken on has been very impressive, and we are really excited that he is joining us. Obviously, that leadership, captaining West Ham, leading them to a trophy, being under that pressure, being the sole connector of that team at West Ham at times last season. He had to deal with that, and going into a very strong Arsenal team with great options like Martinelli, Saka on the flanks there, and Ødegaard in front of even Kai Havertz. He's going to have an easier time in the midfield there, and hopefully when they probably face Partey in that midfield to play number 6 there, I'm hoping he can play 8 at times, a bit further forward. There, Declan Rice, because his passing ability is very, very solid, and he had 82 progressive passes and 82 progressive carries last season, which is the third most out of any central sort of midfielder last season behind Kevin De Bruyne and Joe Willock himself. So up there with some of the best wingers in the Premier League, the likes of Mitoma and others, to say the least. So he obviously can receive the ball, but he can also drive the ball at his feet, carry that ball forward, and it's so important for Arsenal to keep and pin their opposition in nice and deep there. If you've got a midfielder like Rice, it's a bit different to Xhaka and Partey. You can take the ball and drive. It just forces them forward and keeps them on the front foot more often, and I think he's an upgrade on Xhaka and Partey, in my opinion, from last season. He's going to get the more dynamic midfield flow, and as such, he just has to be that centre defensive midfielder for this combined transfer 11. I just look at that winner against Manchester United, that 2-1 goal. He's got goals in him. He's got defensive capabilities. On the pie chart, as I always say, he fills the whole pie chart up. He's a superb player, and as such, I think he's worth every single penny. And he's playing centre defensive midfielder for this combined transfer 11. And joining in that midfield for me is Christopher Nkunku, another player unfortunately dealing with a knee injury, but we saw in pre-season how good he was. The £52 million signing, he's a chance creation machine. Obviously that 6-year deal, probably a shorter deal as far as Chelsea deals are concerned. Rumoured to be on about £195,000 per week. But obviously, for me, it's the chance creation, the scoring ability that he gives Christopher Nkunku. Obviously, you can play as a false nine, sort of an old school sort of second striker, but his best position is obviously at the number 10 role there. In this combined 11, playing a bit deeper because of the quality number 10s we've got in this team. Obviously managed 23 goals and 9 assists in 36 appearances last season. He's come off winning back-to-back DFB Pokals, the German Cup there. Influential in all what Leipzig had done recently, a plethora of man of the matches last season. But for me, it's his ability just to find himself in dangerous areas. To be a goal threat, he has to sort of find these spots, and you see him like that second striker mold, just sort of, wandering into spots where defenders aren't, slipping in behind defenses and getting to scoring positions. And mate, when he gets into scoring positions, he's one of the most clinical forwards that we've got going around in the world at the moment. The Frenchman is, dynamic in his movement, but clinical in his finishing. And we saw in pre-season, it is not only that part of his game, it's his ability to assist the ball. As I said, 9 assists last season, but I expect to get much more in this Chelsea team. Nicholas Jackson looked 10 times better in pre-season when he was getting balls fed through to him from the likes of Nkunku. And I feel like when that duo finally comes together, whether it be the middle of the season or just prior to that, they're both going to flourish under it. And I just see in that pre-season the ability for him to play these smart balls, again finding sort of intricate spaces and playing great passes through to the likes of Nicholas Jackson there will be very, very important. And also to add on that, his dribbling ability, he finds a way to dribble out of spaces, he gets his head up and plays some great passes. And I can't wait to see him when he's fit again, because Nicholas Jackson, Raheem Sterling, the form he's in at the moment, even if Mykhailo Mudryk gets involved as well, I feel like when Nkunku's back, he can link this whole Chelsea team up. He can cover over the cracks of some of the major problems and flaws right now in that Chelsea team. But they're missing him a lot at the moment. I feel like once they get him back, though, they'll get that kick they need. Pochettino's come out and said how important he is to this team to link up their play. And I feel like once he comes back, we'll see the best of him, similar to the likes of players I'm going to speak about ahead. But his all-round game, he's an attacking chance creation machine, and as such, he's playing central midfield for this combined transfer 11. Now joining him in midfield, there's another probably more progressive player, the 22-year-old Hungarian Dominik Szoboszlai, who's also joined him from RB Leipzig for around £60 million, it is rumoured to be. But he joins McAllister, Enzo and Gravenberch in the new generation of Liverpool central midfielders. Obviously, they ship off Henderson and Fabinho, Naby Keita, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Thiago doesn't seem to be in the plans. They've moved away from that counter-pressing style where Henderson, Fabinho, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Keita used to counter-press against teams that lock the ball in. They tried last season at times to invert Trent Alexander-Arnold because the team weren't getting as much chance creation from central midfield, and they've gone all out now. McAllister playing in there alongside Szoboszlai, alongside Gakpo at times as well. So Klopp's changed his style, changed his philosophy, less about the counter press and more about chance creation for midfield. And you talk about chance creation machines in Nkunku, Szoboszlai's not much different. Obviously plays a little bit deeper, played a lot as a right-side attacking midfielder in that RB Leipzig team. He had so much possession, but his ability to create chances, second to none. 22 assists in the last 2 seasons to go with 20 goals along those last 2 seasons as well. So constantly in areas to score or create for others. Is obviously in that number 10 role is probably his most preferred position, but at times for Liverpool this year, he's going to have to play in a number 8 role or a bit deeper at times to help out the likes of Endo, to help out Gravenberch, and also McAllister there. But so far this season, he stood out for me as Liverpool's strongest midfielder. His ability to pick the ball up, to spray passes out to Diaz, to Salah, and obviously that goal against Aston Villa, the first time volley from the corner straight into the bottom corner, we see his quality. And obviously he's worked his way back into that starting 11. Obviously a year or so ago, the man ended up preferring him once he first joined RB Leipzig, but he earned his spot back in that 11. It's through great performances. It's through his great dribbling ability. I think his dribbling, for me, is his number one asset, slightly followed by his passing, but he is so multi-dimensional. And in that midfield, Liverpool have so many more chances created this season. I talk about Darwin Núñez a lot. I feel like his game will step to the next level because he's going to get so many chances. Dominik Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch in there as well in this midfield. They're all chance-creating players. There's going to be a lot of chances created, and Dominik Szoboszlai, he's shown so far, he is probably Liverpool's strongest midfielder. Surprised he hasn't got more stats so far, only managed a 1 goal, but it's going to come this season. He is so talented, so much quality in his work, and going forward, I see him being the strong number 10 Liverpool need to go forward, to need to progress their style of football, and a chance creation machine that Liverpool's got. It's only up from here for Liverpool, and as such, Dominik Szoboszlai is in this combined transfer 11 midfield. Now we come to the number 10 in this midfield, and despite the last 2 players basically being number 10s as well, I've got another number 10 and probably the best signing so far this season in the Premier League. it's got to be the man himself, the dart thrower. It is James Maddison. Obviously signed by Big Ange to his Tottenham Hotspur team for around £40 million. But this seems like a bargain for this talented number 10. Obviously he managed the 10 goals and 9 assists last season in the Premier League for Leicester City, who terribly underperformed and lacked that sort of continuity in their team last season. He's already got the 2 goals, the 2 assists in his 4 Premier League appearances, tearing up against Burnley last week, being a thorn in the side for Manchester United and for Bournemouth in weeks prior. So he's on great form, probably in the form of his career so far, and it's because of Ange Postecoglou's aggressive attacking style of football. They're constantly on the front foot. Madison's constantly with the ball at his feet and able to create. And when you've got the likes of, Kulusevski at the front, up front there, Solomon, who played very well against Burnley, he's going to get the opportunity to get more assists because these high quality players he's playing with. It's a step up from the Leicester days, and you can see the 5-year deal for the 26-year-old just shows that Tottenham have put their faith in this guy. He is part of this future build, and already the vice captain for Tottenham. So much Ange shows respect for obviously for James Maddison, and he's just in top form at the moment. He's got the license to sort of float anywhere around the pitch. He floats left, he floats right, he sort of wanders around and gets into these free pockets of space, similar like a Bruno Fernandes does at Manchester United. And it's the benefit of his game, the less structure, the more free-flowing style of football that Ange Postecoglou has played has been beneficial for him. He's getting in positions that is so dangerous. He's finding great balls. We know his delivery is second to none in the Premier League. And just good to see him happy and succeeding. Obviously, last season, nothing was really going well for Leicester, and he seemed a bit down. Performances were still of a high level, but the happiness and joy on the field was not there. And you're seeing so far on the field with Tottenham, he looks just a happy, rejuvenated player, and it's good to see. And for me, as I said earlier, arguably the signing of the summer. He's connecting the play like no other. He's scoring bangers from outside the box, and this season could be a massive season for James Maddison. I expect massive numbers. Could be a 10 goal and 15 assists plus season the way the Tottenham are going. There's goals galore, and James Maddison looks the best he's ever been. So as such, he's playing in the number 10 position for this combined transfer 11. Now we come to the front 3 of this combined 11. And for me, on the left-hand side, it is a slam dunk. It's got to be Moussa Diaby. Obviously, the Frenchman, the 24-year-old, is moving Leverkusen to the Premier League to join Villa for £35 million, according to The Athletic. We always talk about this channel about him because I love him so much. He is so direct, he is so agile, he is so pacey, and we've seen that in his ability in the Bundesliga to pick the ball up and get into dangerous areas. The 49 goals, the 48 assists amongst his 172 Bundesliga appearances, and obviously they secure him just to facilitate that ability to stay into Europe. Obviously, they crack into Europe last season, but they want to stay there. And Unai Emery has made some very statement signings, and for me, the number one of them has got to be Moussa Diaby. We've seen so far at the start of this season, he's had a license, a free license to sort of roam around that front 3 to even at times be the main man up front. I see him sort of just floating off the back of Ollie Watkins, working in tandem with him up front. Obviously starts on the left, floats to the middle, can move out to the right at times, and I think that freedom, similar to James Maddison, is for the benefit of him. He gets the ball, he's able to pick the ball up in dangerous areas, he's able to float and curve his runs in behind using that pace. And despite being named in the team sheet a lot at the left flank, he's all over the pitch at times and always a threat for defenders, putting defenders under pressure constantly through his pace. And obviously being the top 7% of wingers and attacking midfielders last season for goals just shows his ability to get into attacking positions and to finish these chances. He's a clinical finisher, using that pace to get in behind and get into dangerous spots and then finishing the chances off. Obviously, is really, really important. We've seen forwards come from the Bundesliga to the Premier League over the last few years and struggle to score in front of goals. So it's good to see he's a clinical finisher. We've seen his goal there at Newcastle, despite the loss, was a shining light of how skillful that goal was to be able to take the ball down and score into the back of the net. His assist numbers are also nothing to be, argued at all. He's a high assist number player as well. Uses his pace to get into dangerous areas, to get to the byline, to cut balls back into the Ollie Watkins of the world, the Leon Baileys of the world. They're all going to flourish because of the chances that Diaby's going to create, and also the attention he's going to create. I think a lot of defenders now are very conscious of Diaby, very conscious of the positions he picks up along the pitch, that free roam he has, the ability to cut in and use his pace to get in behind. So Ollie Watkins is going to have less attention. Leon Bailey's going to get less attention. And so far, that front 3 went together, looked very, very well together. I look back to the Everton game, they all were working very fluidly. He's got on the assist sheet also amongst the score sheet so far this season. So Diaby's been a very, very good start. He's hit the ground running so far, and for me, a slam dunk to be in this team in the left wing position for this combined transfer 11. Now, the right winger for this team is Ansu Fati, joining from Barcelona to Brighton. What a masterstroke from them. They are constantly the kings of great deals in the Premier League. And this guy is a wonder kid, obviously hailed as the next Messi at Barcelona, even given the number 10 shirt. But it's just injuries that has currently just halted his career through 2020 to 2022. The kid barely saw the field, struggling with knee injuries and soft tissue injuries. I think really poorly managed by the Barcelona physiotherapy group. But that loan deal to Brighton, I think they're paying around 80 to 70% of his wages, but this shows progression for Brighton. They're no longer just bringing in some cheap signings and seeing how they develop and selling them off. They're getting in a really world-class wonder kid talent and bringing him into the club to try and win now. Obviously, they're in Europe, they're in Europa League, and he's going to get game time in this Brighton team. He stayed fit a lot last season, 51 appearances, but a lot of them was off the bench. He fell out of love and fell out of a favour, I guess, with Xavi there at times, and only managed 10 goals and 4 assists from those bench appearances. But still, he's in the top percentile for shot creating and shot scoring situations, and it just shows his direct, pacey nature. We mentioned Diaby previously, very similar mould where he likes to get direct at defenders, run at their goal and score that way. Obviously not much of a facilitator, but his ability to create something is something I want to see him develop this season in a Brighton team that plays high in possession. And to mention, it's very, very important. Obviously, come from the Xavi system, come from the La Masia system there at Barcelona, who always play high in possession, always play that tiki-taka style of football, constantly playing past teams, playing through teams. And that's what Brighton do as well. De Zerbi has that system where they play high in possession, they play out from the back, they play around teams, they play through teams, and it's just going to suit Ansu Fati and allow him to, slip in seamlessly, and it's a great signing for Brighton. Obviously, Matoma and March down the wings have sort of solidified their position right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ansu Fati in their number 10 position maybe. Obviously, Enciso going out injured, he might just slide in there and fit perfectly in this team, but working with the likes of Evan Ferguson and Matoma, I feel like Ansu Fati's just going to flourish in this team. He's got a lot of play time, he's obviously in Europe still, and his positional intelligence is just there to be seen. He's received 10 progressive passes received per game, which leaves him in the sort of top percentile for wingers and central attacking midfielders. So no matter where he's positioned, I feel like his intelligence will be there to show. He'll slide in perfectly to the De Zerbi system, and just a sign of things to come for Brighton. A very exciting player joining their ranks, a wonder kid, someone I reckon is going to have an absolute worldie of a season. What a signing for Brighton. As such, he's in this team playing the right wing position in this combined transfer 11 for the Premier League. Now we come to the strike of the team, and this could be a bit of a controversial call, but I feel like it just has to be Erasmus Højlund, joining from Atalanta to Manchester United from a sum around £72 million. The 20-year-old signing a 5-year deal with an option for an extension with 1 more year there. And obviously, I think rumoured to be around £80,000 per week, his wages, but it's a massive deal for United. The Dane managed 16 goals and 7 assists last season in his full season in a sort of top 5 league in the Serie A there. But he caught the eye, obviously, of Erik ten Hag. He's a strong, tall forward in the mould of Erling Haaland. The comparison's going to be there all season. But the Danish man, obviously 6'4", I believe, 6'3". He's a strong forward, but also a pacey forward, so similar to Haaland in that mould. The coach of Atalanta mentioning that he feels like Erasmus could run 100 metres in less than 11 seconds just casually. So the pace is there to be seen. Obviously, the first sort of real aggressive sign Manchester United to get a forward in their prime, or a wonder kid going into their prime. The last time I can think of Manchester United having a forward in their prime was probably back in the Robin van Persie and Rooney era, towards the back end of Sir Alex Ferguson days there managing Manchester United, because ever since the likes of Igalo, Cavani, Ronaldo, all at the back end of the career, and then loan signings of Wout Weghorst, it just doesn't scream progression. This is the first real aggressive signing for Manchester United of a young superstar, the 20-year-old. He's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders, but I feel like he's going to flourish under the Erik ten Hag system. His ability to get in behind will be very, very important. That pace, obviously, Bruno Fernandes likes to play those over-the-top balls into Rashford, and hopefully into now Rasmus Højlund. He can use that pace again behind it to score for himself. And despite not probably getting the shooting number on paper, a lot of numbers there, he does convert a lot of his chances. So of his 9 Serie A goals, he converted a 9.5 expected goals last season, so very clinical up front, and he had a 0.47 expected goals per 90 minutes, which is 0.01 behind that of Marcus Rashford, and equal that Ollie Watkins, who's classed as one of the most clinical and ruthless finishers in the Premier League. So obviously when he gets in position to score, he will finish those chances off, and United have been screaming for this over the last few seasons. Obviously last year, not really having a striker, Wout Weghorst was more of a facilitator, a big hold-up play sort of striker, and then in the past, Ronaldo didn't quite work out in a way. He scored some goals, but didn't quite work for the United system, and Cavani was probably their best striker across the last few seasons, but it's time for a next generation sort of striker, and he's got the pace, he's got the ability to hold-up play. We saw that against Arsenal when he came on, the hold-up play and the pace in behind really threw Arsenal off, and for a good solid 10 minutes when he came on there, United were on top there, they were the better team and were a threat to goal. Obviously Garnacho scoring that offside goal, so I look at him and think he's got to be someone who's going to put pressure on defence in this league. If he's anything like Erling Haaland, there's only positives for Manchester United to have there. And also his dribbling game and driving game as well. He's in the top 15% for forwards for successful dribble success rate and successful take-ons, and also the top 7% for touches inside the penalty area. So also spinning it behind, taking that ball, driving into the area. He's got the whole package right now, Rasmus Højlund. I just hope it all clicks for him this year at United. Obviously the injury has kept him out of the squad early on, so hopefully he can get some fitness under his belt, can work his way into this United team and show what he's all about. We've seen glimpses so far. I hope we can see it this season for Manchester United, and as such for me, he's a striker for this combined transfer 11. And with that being said, guys, that brings my combined Premier League transfer 11 to an end for the summer there. Big moves, massive signings, some big money being spent. Let's go run through it one more time here. So Andre Onana starts in goal. He joins Manchester United from Inter Milan there. Jurrien Timber plays the left side of a centre-back 3, joining Arsenal from Ajax. Josko Gvardiol joining Manchester City, plays a central of the 3 centre-backs. Mickey van der Ven from Wolfsburg to Tottenham is our right side of the centre-back trio. Declan Rice obviously plays deep in midfield as central defensive midfielder, joining Arsenal for that massive amount. And in midfield, it's an attacking midfield. Christopher Nkunku plays central midfield alongside Dominic Szoboszlai, both coming from Leipzig to the Premier League. In number 10, it's James Maddison, obviously joining from relegated Leicester to Tottenham Hotspur. And then a dynamic, pacey front 3. Moussa Diaby from the left, coming from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. Obviously on the right there, the wonder kid himself in Ansu Fati, and up front Rasmus Højlund, who joins from Atalanta to Manchester United. A lot of star quality, a lot of wonder kids, a lot of up and coming talent, a lot of really well proven talent so far in the Premier League. Obviously it's the best league in the world right now for a reason. All these big money signings coming across. Let me know what you think about my team in the comments down below. I think I've got it right, but also weird and wacky formation to get as many players as I can in here. But let me know what you think. Have I got a few players wrong? Have I got some players right? Let me know definitely in the comments down below. Make sure you guys like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel. Keep growing this channel. There'll be more videos like this around football-based content, more podcasts coming along the way. So keep your eyes out, keep your eyes peeled. I've really enjoyed making this video. I've really enjoyed the Premier League transfer window. It's kept me on my toes. It's kept me busy throughout the summer so far. Make sure you have a great rest of the day, guys. Please, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and I'll see you guys for another football video very soon. See you then.